Welcome everyone. Don't worry, you're going to get to see me on this video. Today is March the 8th, 2022. But just wanted to hold out the phone right now to show that the grass is starting to green up, and it's not quite greened up. There's definitely a lot of green, especially in St. Augustine and Centipede yards. But I want to highlight that just to show you that there's these spots right here. By the way, this is our square of weeds that we didn't spray. You can see from the rest of the yard that we're weed free out here, but this square that we didn't spray, this is what happens when you don't have weed warriors to spray a part of your yard, or anyway. So right here you can kind of see this circular pattern starting to form. It's about to get worse, which is why I'm making this video, is to warn everybody about what's about to happen. And so what is this spot? Again, this is very vague. It's about to be very crisp, because this is going to be really green and this is not going to be green. So why is your yard not green this time of year? Why do you have these dead spots? I'll say 99% of the time when we get calls this time of the year, it's because it's something called large patch. It's a microscopic fungi called Rhizoctonia solani, but to everyday people we call it large patch. Large patch, it happens in Centipede and St. Augustine yards. It will technically happen in Zoysia and Bermuda yards if you read the literature on it, but practically I've never seen that. Practically we always see it in St. Augustine yards especially, and yes, it can happen in Centipede also. When does it happen? It happens this March and April is when you really see it. Technically it starts in the fall. So it starts around mid-September, and you get these little spots that when you get moisture and warm temperatures, so not hot, not cold, but just kind of lukewarm, which is what happens in September, and it happens again this time of year. You can think of it like the bacteria or fungi that's in your food. You keep it on the counter, it grows and it multiplies and reproduces and really takes over. But you put your food in the freezer, it's too cold, nothing happens, it stalls out, the microorganisms just freeze and they don't do anything. If it's really hot, like put your food in the oven, it scorches them, they can't live, they can't survive. But you leave it on the counter and there's moisture in the food, that's when you get problems. Same thing here. Warm temperatures, lukewarm in the fall, mid-September, you get that day when you get the moisture and the temperature right, then these spots, and they just get bigger and bigger, and that you don't get that drastic contrast in the fall. Usually you can start to see it, but when you really see it is in late March, all throughout April, sometimes the first week of May or so. In these spots, you're just going to see these dead spots. Again, this is mostly for Centipede and especially St. Augustine yards. In low spots, you're going to see it, especially in low spots because of moisture. You'll see it in shady spots, because in shady spots, the grass is already weak. And so maybe in another part of the yard where the grass is able to fend off this disease from attacking it, it's not getting enough sunlight to make photosynthesis to replenish the leaves in a fast enough time. And so anywhere where the grass is weak, where it doesn't have optimal growing conditions, you're going to see it even worse. It's not always because of a low spot or a shady spot, but it does tend to be worse in those. So, consider, do we need to trim limbs? Do we need to let this grass be healthier by trimming limbs? Do we need to put some dirt in some of these low spots? Otherwise, your only other option is to let it go and let it regrow, which I'll talk about here in just a minute, or a fungicide program, which is what we do at Weed Warriors. We have a fungicide program where we do 2 treatments in the spring, 2 treatments in the fall. And what that does is it gets you a 60-day window of protection. It's not perfect because you can have growing conditions even in May when it's really warm and really wet, or even, I'm not sure what I just said, I meant to say February. But it can also happen in May. But we try to really focus on that March, April time period to get out our fungicide to help those microorganisms from not multiplying and reproducing. So we've talked about the when it happens, where and why does it happen, what do you do, And so the last thing would be regrowth. So Jackson, Mississippi, that's where we're at with Weed Warriors. You can think of the season in three ways. You got the growing season, which is May, June, July, August, September. And then you have your dormant or stagnant period, which is going to be October, November, December, January, February, 5 months, where it's not growing, it's just stagnant or dormant. You know, it's just it's like it's asleep, it's not doing anything. And then you have March and April, which is green up. So it's not growing. The grass is greening up, but it's not growing. And so regrowth is going to happen May, June, July, August, and then again, you know, some of September it'll grow some. But you're really focused on 4.5, or we could say 5 months of growth. May, June, July, August, and part of September. 5 months of growth. So that's when it's going to regrow and fill back in. May and June are your two best months for it to really, that's when you have revival. You know, it can really revive and grow well. Once you get to July, it's so hot, it's more trying to survive. So July, August, September, you know, the grass is just trying to not die, trying not to be too dry, because we go through droughts that time of year. We go through really high temperatures. So May and June, if you do have large patch or any kind of harm to your yard, you really want to focus on May and June to start your water. The video last week was on watering, so please don't do it yet. But when we get to May and June, that's really when, you know, your two best months of really getting the most bang for your buck on putting water on the yard, because that's really when it's going to grow well. And that's for all of our warm season grasses. You know, we have Bermuda, Zoysia, Centipede, St. Augustine. That's 99.9% of our yards here in the Jackson area. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let us know. And if you have large patch issues, let us know and we'll be glad to help. Thank you.